This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Well, last weekend, Kia Motors America allegedly got hit with a cyber attack. The IT network that services its dealers went down. So did its UVO connected services for customers. A website called Bleeping Computer reported it was caused by a ransomware attack and that the hackers demanded $20 million or they'd leak all the stolen data. Hyundai Motor America also suffered an IT outage. They've restored some of the services and say the rest will be back up soon. Both Hyundai and Kia deny it was a ransomware attack, but we wonder. Bleeping Computer is a website dedicated to tracking cyber attacks and works with European authorities on cyber matters. Traditional automakers need and want two things. They need to unlock ways to pay for future products and want Wall Street to see them as tech companies, i.e. they want their stock prices higher. And now reports are surfacing that Volkswagen is considering listing Porsche through an IPO or spinning it off completely. Porsche could be worth somewhere between 70 and 100 billion euros. But if Volkswagen went the IPO route, it would still want to control a majority stake. Talks are in the very early stages. But even just the news of a possible sale increased VW shares by nearly 6%. And you can be sure other automakers are looking for ways to unlock more value. Daimler and Renault posted their earnings from last year, and the results are polar opposites of each other. Daimler sold 500,000 fewer vehicles, and its revenue fell 11%. But its earnings before interest and taxes shot up 53%, and its net profit jumped 48%. That's because it was able to slash expenses dramatically. But Renault is a different story. Its sales fell 21%, revenue was down even more, and it lost 8 billion euros. The big problem for Renault is that it doesn't sell very many cars in China and none at all in the US. And when you're not a player in the two largest car markets in the world, it's not easy to make money.
Autoline supports the automotive industry because it finances so much research and development, right down to the molecular level. It employs tens of thousands of PhDs and scientists and technicians and engineers. It has research labs exploring the boundaries of knowledge and physics, and it turns that into mobility, which keeps the economy humming. And that's why we're proud to say that Autoline is an advocate for the automotive industry.
The world is changing at an ever-increasing pace. No matter what the mode of transportation, there is always the need for an efficient propulsion system. And that's exactly what BorgWarner has been doing since the earliest days of the automotive industry.
We want to know what drives your testing. OTA, connected car, diagnostics, remote testing. Intrepid Control Systems is here to help you work from anywhere. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Thanks to fracking, the United States was a net exporter of oil last year. But that was last year. This year, the Energy Information Agency says the U.S. will have to import 1 million more barrels of oil a day. It's all got to do with oil prices. They crashed to only $20 a barrel when the pandemic hit last spring. That caused many frackers to cap their wells. But oil prices are going back up and are now at roughly $60 a barrel for West Texas Intermediate. The EIA says that will bring more wells back into production, but it doesn't see production getting back to pre-COVID levels before the end of next year. That means prices will stay higher at the pump. The Onion, the magazine with scathing satire, just put Ford CEO Jim Farley in its crosshairs. It ran a story of how Farley stole a battery out of a Toyota Prius for Ford to use in its EV program, while one of his buddies kept an eye out for the cops. It quoted Farley as saying it was time to take action on climate change and that he could sell the Prius battery for $5,000 on Craigslist. Well, Farley contacted Autoline Daily to set the record straight. He said the story wasn't true because he actually stole the battery out of a Toyota Highlander. Heating an electric vehicle, especially during the winter, can be a big drain on the battery. So the supplier Mahle developed a new generation of high-voltage heat pump that it says can extend the cruising range of an EV by up to 20%. It's now integrating the electronics that control the temperature right with the heating elements, which creates a smaller, lighter, and cheaper unit. The built-in electronics measure resistance in the heating elements to adjust the temperature, so there's no need for temperature sensors. And we're going to see a lot more improvements like this as more EVs hit the market.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. Borg Warner, propulsion solutions that support a clean, energy-efficient world. And by SAP Industry Cloud for Automotive.
Honda is shaking up its top management. Toshihiro Mibe is its new president and CEO. He replaces Takehiro Hachigo, who took over the spot in 2015 and who will join the board. Mibe joined Honda in the late 1980s and comes from the R&D side of the business. And you know, Honda always does it that way. The CEO always comes from R&D because Honda believes its leader should be intimately familiar with its products, how they're made, and the technology that goes into them. J.D. Power and Consumer Reports both put out lists ranking the top car brands that it hopes shoppers will use when they're trying to decide what their next purchase will be. But these can be somewhat confusing. J.D. Power ranks brands based on dependability, while Consumer Reports ranks the most reliable. So what's the difference between dependability and reliability? Well, not much in my mind, but yet their top brands never really line up with each other. J.D. Power ranks Lexus, Porsche, Kia, and Buick and Cadillac as the best brands. CR puts Mazda, BMW, Subaru, Porsche, and Honda in its top 5 spots. Yes, I know they look at different criteria for their rankings, but you'd think there would be at least some overlap. It just drives the point home that you really need to look at a number of sources when trying to make an informed decision about a big purchase like a vehicle. While electric vehicles lose a lot of range in cold weather, they could also save your life. As you know, Texans are shivering through power outages caused by severe winter weather, which took out a big chunk of the energy grid. One Tesla owner stayed warm by putting his family in his Model 3 with the heat on. And no problem, with an electric car, you don't have to worry about getting asphyxiated. And a Ford F-150 hybrid owner took advantage of the onboard generator to power his house. He says it kept the house warm, and they were able to make coffee and watch TV. So there you go, just another reason to love your car. It can save your butt in times of declared emergency. But that wraps up today's report. Thanks for watching, and have a great weekend.
Wards is the industry leader for news, data, and analysis. That's why companies across the globe subscribe to our premium service, maybe even your own. Log in for subscriber access now. Check your company's intranet for details, and rely on wardsauto.com to keep you informed.